Afternoon. I get a lot of questions related to subjects that I've covered extensively over and over again in my videos. I think on my YouTube channel, I probably have close to 50 videos that I've made on there. A couple of them being audiobooks for my two last books, The Spiritualist Manifesto, as well as Leaving the Illusion of Life. And a ton of interviews. And in my interviews, I kind of try to start from the beginning and glaze over the beginning and then get into the meat of the subject, at least towards the most recent ones. So a lot of times if you have a question, if you go through some of the older videos, now when I say older, they're only a couple months old. So it's not like the information is any less potent than it was a couple months ago. Most of it is the basics are the basics. And I know everybody likes to start off at the top, but that's not the reality of our situation. You need to start off with at a lower level to try to build yourself up. You have to build your foundation first. A lot of people don't like to do that. They just want to just run to the top. I want to astral project in a week. Well, most people aren't in that situation. I'm not teaching people how to astral project. I can share my experiences on how the methods that I use for myself, but it's not a surefire method that's going to work every night for most people, or it may not work for other people. I tried in the beginning several different methods that didn't work, and I found one that did, but it took me a period of almost a year from the beginning to do it. So it really depends on what you want to do. Find something that interests you, but don't set your sights on something that's going to just keep you on that one path and nearsighted. You don't want to have blinders on. You want to be able to be open for things. But the other thing is you have to think about our situation. Now, it's great to have interest and try to follow your interest in certain things. Like if you're going to plan on going in the astral, having out-of-body experiences, if you're not going to do it for fun, then it's a waste of time. It's good to prove to yourself that you can be in two places at one time, so that you can prove to yourself that it's in fact a reality, so through experience, and that's good. It's always good to experience different things, but when you focus yourself only on that, you're leaving everything else open. So if you're not happy with the way things are going with life itself, and you know something's wrong, well, sometimes following those paths is no different from just, well, I'm going to go out and buy I've always wanted a 66 Chevy and I'm going to completely restore it. Well, that's not going to get you any farther in getting yourself out of our situation. If you have to set your priorities, we all have to set our priorities. Of course, most of us have to make a living, so we have to earn money. And we have to take care of our families. We have to buy food. We have to buy gas, pay for insurance, all that stuff. So we all have to pay to pay to survive. So that has to come at some point as number one while we're doing everything else. But if you don't prioritize things in your life, if you believe that you want to get out of here and not keep coming back in this recycled soul process or whatever you call it, soul reincarnation or whatever you call it, then you have to find a way to get out of it. You have to work towards that goal. If you're not willing to work towards that goal, then it's not going to change. So most people will work diligently and hard to make extra money and put forth that extra effort if they want something. Well, do you want to get out of here that bad or worse or not as bad? So if you're not willing to work for it, then it's not going to happen. So that's where you have to set your priorities. Now, there's a minimal amount of people that are going to even work through or follow through on this process. I've already come to that conclusion over the past couple of years of going through this process. I'm making this information available, and I still keep getting a lot of the same questions, even though I've covered that information. People would rather just ask the question than have to go through and weed through what's in the videos. But the important part is I spent time and effort, and I put a lot of thought into what those videos contain. And it's information that that I'm willing to help you with. So by bypassing all that, just getting the answer to a question doesn't cover the full spectrum, because once you get an answer to a question, then your first response is asking another question related to that, when most of it's been covered. But if you watched a lot of my content, and then you have a valid question that wasn't covered, let's do it. That's the questions that I really want, because I want to know what people are thinking that have exposed themselves to the information. And if you don't agree with it, that's fine. If you do agree with it, great. If you choose not to use it, that's your choice. I'm not forcing anything on you. I'm not selling it to you. I'm freely giving it to you. I'm making it available. I'm not saying you have to watch it. But what I'm saying is, if you want the information, be willing to spend the time, because I've invested the time in creating this information for you. And based upon what questions I get is how I try to conform my content. But if I keep getting a lot of the same questions over and over that on the content that I've already created, then I have to say, hey, you need to spend some time looking through it, because I'm answering these questions over and over. And a lot of times, even in the comment section, I'm answering them over and over. So even if you looked at the comments, you'd see. But what I'm trying to do is, instead of just answering those questions, I'll say, hey, please go over the content, because there's more information that's connected with that you're going to miss out by just getting an answer to a question. By me telling you, oh, well, this is how I was successful in having an out-of-body experience, doesn't necessarily give you all the information around it. But in my interviews, I go into it more in depth. Or my videos, I go into it more in depth. So you'll have that information available, and you'll see it from different perspectives and different interviews. So maybe you'll catch something that's more useful to you. So, try to be diligent when it comes down to, doing your research. I spent all this time, and I did my research in the very beginning, and then I went ahead and said, I'm going to try all these things and see what works for me. So I put in the time and effort, and I kept doing it over and over. You talk about boring. Yeah, it's boring. It's not what I would consider fun, but when I'm learning something, I really enjoy that part of it, because I'm learning and I'm absorbing something. And then I can put that together with other pieces within the puzzle and try to figure it out. And information just wasn't handed to me. I didn't have anybody I could just write in the comment section and ask them, or go through and watch a video and learn it. I just had to, back when I was learning how to try the different methods, I was reading it in a book. And there was nobody to ask questions. I just had to figure it out for myself. So we didn't have the internet or anything back then. And even if we would have, most of the information that's out there is shit. That's just the way it is. It's misinformation, disinformation, more manipulation, more illusional bullshit is what I call it. So I'm trying to simplify through my experiences, through my verbiage, and hopefully that will translate to you. But again, make use of this information. If what you're doing, if I'm going in the way that you want to go, or if gone the way you want to go, or if you haven't, if somehow we align, utilize the information. There's tools there, and it's up to you. I can provide it, but I can't do it for you. Nobody did it for me. Nobody did it for anybody else. You have to do it for yourself. This is a personal path, but it's no different in reality than your personal life. At some point, you either decided to get married or not get married, or get a job or not get a job, or show up the next day for that job, or go to school and have a career and follow through on that career, or get a driver's license and start driving. Everything you've done in your life has been a decision, and ultimately you had to make that decision, whether you bought a car or paid for insurance or what kind of vehicle you bought or whatever it was. You made that decision, and this is no different from that. You have to determine which way you're going to go ultimately, and there could be several paths available to you. and you're going to need to choose what path to go. But like I said, at first you're going to have to set your priorities. Like you probably didn't go out and buy a Lamborghini for your first car because you probably couldn't afford it. I mean, maybe you really wanted one, but it wasn't in your budget. Well, that's the way it works within this, because if you don't have any information back up and you want to go straight to the 13th level of the astral, it's just like, that's not reality. You have to start from the beginning. You're going to start from square one. And the same thing about how much you want to put into, if you really don't want to come back here and into the recycling of this reincarnation system, then you have to make it a priority. I've made it a priority in my life. That's why I'm working so diligently and trying to get other people involved in it, because it means that much to me. If it didn't, then I wouldn't be doing all these interviews and creating all this content, because it takes a lot of time and it takes effort to try to bring together the experiences, utilize my experiences, and I'm working on it all the time. I'm not just doing it once in a while. I'm doing it all the time. I'm always thinking about it. It's always in the back of my mind, because when I decided I was going to follow through on it, I'm not the type of person who just sticks their toe in the water and goes, it's okay. No, I jump in with both feet. And I have a tendency to overdo things because that's the kind of person I am. But to me, that's the way that you do something. If you're going to do it, you better jump in with both feet and just go full throttle. Because any other way is not going to get you through the resistance and the roadblocks and all the bullshit that is around you. This surrounds us on an everyday basis. When at times you'll feel like, well, the only one I believe is working for me is me. Well, yeah, you're going to feel that a lot. That's welcome to the club. I mean, you have to be willing to put forth the effort, no matter what the conditions. Because what's your alternative? You're going to be back in this situation over and over again. And now that you have the opportunity, at this point in the present, you have this opportunity that maybe you've never had before, or maybe you'll never have again in any other lifetime. So maybe this is your or our only opportunity. And the only time we're going to have this chance to do this. After you think about that, maybe in the future, or what they would call the future, we're not going to have this content available. Or somebody's not going to be here to offer it. Or maybe somebody's going to be here to offer it. It's going to be so expensive you couldn't afford it. So you're in this situation. You're right here, right now, with an opportunity. If most people were like, okay, well, this rich guy walks up to you one day, you've always kind of dreamed of this, and he hands in $1 million and goes, I believe in you. I want to see what you can do with this. And if you can do that, I'll take you to the top. Okay. A lot of people have always wished for something like that. Never really believed it. But if it didn't happen that specific way, then maybe you wouldn't take advantage of it because it wasn't what you believed or thought it could be. Or a lot of times, opportunities have come our way, and we really didn't take it to heart or take advantage of it because we just thought, well, maybe it's a scam, or, I'm not sure, or it really isn't the right time in my life. I've got other things going on. Well, maybe you missed out on a good opportunity. How do you know what a really good opportunity is in your life? Maybe this is it. I'm not saying I know any better than anybody else. I'm just saying from experience, I'm trying to bring to people, everyone, this information. Do with it what you choose. But I put a lot of time and I put a lot of energy into this. Not to waste your time, not to waste my time. If I was going to do this because I just wanted to make money, then I would be selling this. I'm not doing that for this. That's not the purpose. I want to get out of this freaking place. And the only way that I'm going to do it is to incorporate other people to do the same, so that we can all work together to all benefit. This is for our benefit, all of us. And even the people who aren't going to do anything about it, they're still going to benefit from our work. I'm okay with that. If it only took one person and I could do it myself, then I would do it myself. I wouldn't even bother going through this whole process, because to me this isn't the ideal way to live. I mean, I like sharing the information. I like sharing my experiences, and I want to help other people do the same. But if I could do it myself, I just would, because it's so much simpler, so much less time consuming. I would just do it. But I can't. And that's why I'm here. So I'm asking people to determine in their life, what are your priorities? I mean, really, what the hell do you care about? What is more important to you? Being free, or being under the rule of somebody eventually that's only going to get worse to the point where you don't have any freedoms? And that's where it's headed. You know, do you want an AI chip or whatever? You know, I'm sure there are so many things that we can't even imagine in the future that could potentially happen. And it could be 5 years down the line. I mean, you think if somebody just told you in 5 years, you're going to have a chip in your head, you're going to have nothing to say about it, you're going to be controlled, and that's the way it's going to be. Oh, well, then more people would stand up and go, yeah, I'm not about that. But how many people would really, at that point, even at that point, how many people would put forth the effort to put their nose to the grindstone and really work diligently on it? Probably only a very small percentage, even if more people would spend the time bitching about it. Really, I mean, that's just the way it is. So figure out, is this an opportunity for you, or is it just more of a waste of time? It really depends on, it's your personal choice. I'm putting it out there. You choose what to do with it. So, you know, I can't do any more than what I do. So here it is, and make your choice. You know, choose what are your real priorities. Do you want to keep coming back here? I mean, a lot of people probably decide to. Yeah, what the hell? I'll keep coming back. But you know, it's comfortable. I feel really comfortable. And you know, if somebody was just rolling me, then I won't have to I won't have to think for myself. And cool, right on, man. That's the way you want to do it. That's not me. You know, I decided a long time ago that shit ain't for me. You know, you got to look at it realistically, and you have to think about your family too. Does everybody in your family think that way too? Does everybody just want to sit on their ass and not do anything and have any freedoms or anything? I doubt that. You know, most of us can't speak for one or even or more for our family members, but I know I'm speaking for me. Whether I'm sure that they don't want to fall into that trap, but whether they're willing to do anything about it is a different story. Yeah, I'm in that situation too, but you know what? Doesn't matter. This is what I'm doing. I am going to do something. I am doing something about it. So decide, set your priorities, and let's go to work.